This time on Retro Boys, we will be playing Star Wars 32X. This game is very special to me because I only got to play this 2 weeks out of every month. Or 2 weekends, I should say, out of every month. That is when I went to my dad's place and I had my own TV with my own Sega Genesis with my own 32X on it. I would play it mainly on Friday nights because I would get too mad Fridays to be and want to play this, so I would switch over to my other games I would have. But the thing that made this game so much fun is you could play in a 3D space, flying an X-Wing for one player or a Y-Wing for two players. I did not know that it wasn't a full 3D space when I was younger, but it made me feel like I was one of the pilots in the movies flying an X-Wing attacking the Death Star. This game also had 32X mode and arcade mode. It was released in 1994 on the 32X, and in my opinion is the best 32X game out there, mainly because of Star Wars. There was an arcade cabinet for this, but I never got to see it. Fee-Fan told me that he used to play it all the time, and it had a gun in the back for the second player on the Y-Wing. This was the prequel to the Star Wars Trilogy Arcade game that I've played a lot of times at a movie. I'm pretty sure a lot of people know which arcade game I'm talking about. This is the one where you got to fly the Snowspeeder and Hoth, fly the X-Wing on the assault on the Death Star. You got lightsaber battles, you had speeder bike chases. You know, all of that stuff compiled into one game was the sequel to this game. And when I go to the movies, I'd come home and play this game when I was at my dad's. The game modes, like I stated, is 32X mode and arcade mode. 32X mode gives you enhanced levels, a harder difficulty, minus in arcade mode when you're on the Death Star, because the TIE fighters can actually hit you, unlike in all the other levels. The arcade mode is the game from the arcade. The levels you have are split into dogfights and flying down a set path trying to destroy something at the end. You have asteroid fields, star destroyers, or just empty star fields. You fight on top of the Death Star surface and you fly down the trench. There's also a level where you fly through the Super Star Destroyer to destroy its engines. And the Death Star trench is where I fail every single time. Every single time. You will see that at the end of the video I will waste all my continues on trying to beat it. Now, if you have a second player, they will be your turret on your Y-Wing. It makes it a lot easier to destroy the turrets, the torpedo blasters, other TIE fighters, almost everything, as long as you can see the green symbol for the reticle. That's the hard part. Now, if you can beat the 32X mode, the first 4 or 5 stages, I believe it is, you go straight into the arcade mode, the exact same route. Now, you get, the dogfights, the trench runs, and you're probably wondering, well, how do you do all this on a 3-button controller? Well, really, there is a 6-button controller as well. You can use that. That is the only controller you can pause on. And the controls, I like them when I was younger. Now it's like crab hand. I need to slow down and shoot at the same time. Gets kind of hard, but I can still pull it off. A button is your decelerate. You hold it down, and you can stay at that slow speed the whole time you're holding it. B is accelerate. You can hold that down and stay at your full throttle the whole time. C is shooting lasers. X toggles between third person and cockpit view. Y does nothing. And Z fires your proton torpedoes. Make sure you're locked on when you fire those. And then start pauses the game. This is very important to know. If you're playing on a 3-button controller, you hit start, it will not pause the game. You cannot use the code to reset the timer or pause the timer so you have more time to finish the TIE fighters. But, you don't get to see that with me. I pause the game. I'm able to pause the game, so I do. 3-button controller, pretty much the same. A is accelerate, B is accelerate, C is shoot, and B plus C equals firing your torps. And start switches between your cockpit view. One thing to note, when in your cockpit view you have your hub, and pretty much the hub goes like high score, the amount it is. Then you have time, then you have your score, then you have your score amount. It will literally say high score and your score when playing single player. When playing multiplayer, it'll say gunner and pilot instead. Then in the center of the screen you'll have crosshairs. If you're playing multiplayer, your crosshairs will be a green reticle. The exact same as what it would be on single player, but they can move within the window that you're looking through in the cockpit. Then at the bottom you'll have shield gauge. Right next to that will be speed gauge. Shield gauge will have red, yellow, or green, yellow, and red, and then a number. The colors indicate if your shields are about ready to drop a number, and then your speed gauge will go from down being slow, top being fast. You'll have your radar screen and then your proton torpedo amount. If you switch your view into third person, you lose your radar screen. Keep that in mind, it is very important. And then, that's really it about the game, but I did tell you about the cheat. Yes, a cheat. You need to use this cheat if you cannot kill the set number of fighters within the time limit. Your time limit on almost every single stage is 200, I'm guessing seconds, but it just says 200. It's video game time. Beware, you do need a 6-button controller to do this because you need to pause. This is why it's important to have that 6-button controller if you're having troubles with this game. To do the code, you need to pause whenever you're in the game. You need to hit down, B, up, right, then left. And you'll hear Han Solo go, Yahoo! And then you know it works. You can unpause and you'll see the code I gave you is to freeze the timer. It will not move. With that being said, you don't need it if you are good enough to fight the fighters, or if you're getting used to the game. You can use that to understand and ease your way into it. You will have to reset that every level, so keep that in mind. Every level that you want to use that on, you will have to pause and enter that rather, I won't say super quickly, but rather quickly. Now, I said this was my favorite 32X game, and it is, because it's Star Wars and you get to fly a fighter. Now, with you knowing what I want, or what I like, I want to know what you like. What is your favorite 32X game? What is the one that you go to and play? And every time we do a game on a system, I will tell you what my favorite one was. And I want to know what your favorite one was. So, anyway, the 32X is an add-on for the Genesis. I have my own favorite Genesis games. But I have only one favorite 32X game. And I'm leaving you guys with all of the deaths I had on certain levels. Mainly the Death Star. And flying in the Super Star Destroyer. Because they are that hard to me. And FIFA whenever we're playing 2-player. So don't forget to like, favorite, share, and comment. Peace out, everybody.